What would you have done? Soil, sand, or sea? YSHL Wollongong Shellharbour Airport, New South Wales, Australia. Freeware scenery and payware aircraft. At 12:22 local time on the 17th of August, 2025, a Piper PA-28-140 departed YSHL runway 26 on a navigation training exercise under visual flight rules with a student pilot and instructor. Shellharbour Airport is famous for its Historical Aircraft Restoration Society Aviation Museum. Top Centre. After departing Shellharbour, the aircraft turned north heading for YSCN Camden Airport. The plan was for circuits and landing at Camden, and then continue north circling Sydney clockwise and returning to Shellharbour via the coast. YSCN Camden Airport. Freeware scenery. The aircraft entered Camden controlled airspace via one of the official VFR routes, undertook 3 circuits, and then landed and shut down for a brief stop. The aircraft departed Camden and its controlled airspace at 13:31 via one of the official VFR routes and continued north. The aircraft flew across the Richmond Airfield military-controlled airspace via the official VFR route at 1,500 feet. Richmond Military Airfield in the distance off the right wing. At the Wiseman's Ferry VFR waypoint on the Hawkesbury River, the aircraft turned back towards the coast. After Wiseman's Ferry VFR waypoint, the aircraft could have climbed higher, but there was not much point because along the coast soon, the controlled airspace around Sydney required steps down to first 1,000 feet, then 500 feet. At the Barrenjoey Head VFR waypoint, the aircraft turned south heading for the official coastal VFR route, cruising at 1,600 feet, 2,450 revolutions per minute. At 14:13, shortly after passing Barrenjoey Head at 1,600 feet, The engine suddenly made an unusual noise, with a brief heavy vibration, and there was an oily smell in the cockpit. The RPM dropped rapidly. All other indications were normal. The symptoms were serious. The engine was failing. Altitude was low and now dropping. What would you have done now? The instructor took control and the crew tried some quick troubleshooting, but to no avail. In terms of aviate, navigate, communicate, so far so good. The view when the engine started to fail. 1,600 feet, 2,450 revolutions per minute. Given the unsuccessful troubleshooting and the dire situation, what would you have done next? At 1,400 feet, 2,200 revolutions per minute, and dropping, the instructor decided to communicate with ATC. In terms of aviate, navigate, communicate, it may have been better to navigate to a controlled forced landing. C, ditching, is a last resort. Soil, Mona Vale Golf Course, was straight ahead with fairways aligned nicely with direction of flight. Sand, beaches, were directly ahead as well. Aim for wet sand, not dry. The view when ATC was contacted. 1,400 feet, 2,200 revolutions per minute. Mona Vale Golf Course is ahead in the distance alongside the second last sandy beach. ATC suggested Long Reef Golf Course on the headland, across the water, to the left of the aircraft. This communication and consideration of this impossible reach took up considerable critical time. At 1,100 feet, 1,900 revolutions per minute, and dropping, with a straight in to Mona Vale Golf Course still possible, a little to the right of the aircraft, and beaches straight ahead, what would you have done? The instructor seemed to still be considering the impossible reach to further away Long Reach Golf Course. Mona Vale was maybe looking less attractive as short fairways and lots of trees approached quickly. But there was always the beaches. Finally, at 775 feet, 1,500 revolutions per minute, 6 minutes after the first sign of trouble, the instructor realized the impossible reach and he turned back to Mona Vale Golf Course. What would you have done at this late stage? A better option would probably have been the beaches. Front view when deciding to turn back to Mona Vale Golf Course on the right. 750 feet, 1,500 revolutions per minute. As well as beaches straight ahead, there is even some open land just ahead of the right wingtip. Side view when deciding to turn back to Mona Vale Golf Course. 750 feet, 1,500 revolutions per minute. Part of the golf course can be seen in front of the nose of the aircraft. The forced landing required steep turns to head for the golf course, to line up with a fairway, and then to avoid an overshoot. Fortunately no fire, and crew lucky to walk away largely uninjured. Long Reef Golf Course suggested by ATC, on headland. Opposite arrow. WSFR equals Wiseman's Ferry VFR waypoint. BRNJ equals Barrenjoey Head VFR waypoint, shortly after which engine begins to fail. Crash at Mona Vale Golf Course. The ATSB report. The ATSB found the exhaust valve of one cylinder broke off and damaged the cylinder, piston, and spark plugs. This led to rapid power loss and loss of altitude. The valve failure sequence could not be determined. The instructor, aware of potential landing sites, was able to conduct a precautionary landing and avoid a more adverse outcome. The ATSB referred to a Lycoming service instruction about possible valve sticking, but did not indicate this as the cause in this case. It referred to a precautionary landing when in actual fact it was a forced landing. It did not refer to the other possible emergency landing sites.
Golfers arrived to a spectacle at Mona Vale Golf Course, the crashed plane still on the green today. The crumpled mess difficult to look at for its owner. Simon Thomas only bought the Piper Cherokee less than a year ago. He leases it to a Wollongong flight school. It crashed during a training flight from Camden yesterday afternoon. Two men in their 50s were on board. Narrowly missing golfers when it planted nose first. Debris was flung far from the wreckage.
The forced landing. The forced landing on Mona Vale Golf Course took place after some tight turns, and while banking and probably stalling. It was skill or luck or both that people or property on the ground were not hit. It was certainly luck that there was no post-crash fire, and that the crew were not severely injured or killed. It seems contact with ATC and considering reaching a faraway golf course may have wasted critical time. The aircraft may have been able to land straight in without turns on Mona Vale, or in the open space just beyond, or on wet sand on a beach. But as they say, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked.